In this lesson, we're going to focus on the alignment group of the Home tab. We'll begin by seeing how to horizontally align text in a cell, whether it's left aligned, right aligned, or center. And next we'll look at merging the contents of one cell across several cells. This can be useful for titles and headings. Continuing on, we're going to see how to wrap text in a cell, and that is when we have more text than will fit in our cell. We'll explore some different methods to have it displayed in our worksheet. And next we'll see how to indent a cell without actually typing spaces or tabs. And finally, we're going to look at the vertical alignments. We'll learn how to adjust where text sits in the cell vertically if you have a tall row. We'll also see how to rotate the text and have it display vertically or at any angle you might choose. We're going to start by seeing how to align our text horizontally. And we'll just go down here to A8 where we have a cell that we want to make left aligned. So we'll click on A8. Now we'll just use our tool here to align the text to the left. We'll click that. And now we'll go down to A9 and we want to center this text. Well, that's just the next button over. Click that. Then we'll go down to the right align text. And we'll go to our next button to right align that text. Now the next one we're going to look at is in cell A12. Now A12 contains text that spans a couple of lines within that cell. We might want to make it justified. And that's where the text goes to the edge of the cell on the left and the right sides, kind of like a newspaper. We're going to need to go ahead and go to our Format Cells dialog box to get the justified horizontal alignment. As you come down here in the Format Cells dialog, we hit horizontal. Instead of general, we're going to go to the justified alignment and click OK. And now you see it indeed. It's spaced out those first two lines so that everything touches both edges of that cell. And the last horizontal format we're going to look at in this section is just the fill option. In A14 I've typed the word cool. And if I go to my Format Cells dialog, as a horizontal alignment I can choose fill and click OK. And what that'll do is that'll repeat what I've typed all the way across as wide as that cell is. If you look at our formula bar, it still just has the word once, cool. The other neat thing is that since this is actually a format, if I widen my column or narrow it, Excel is going to have that word repeat just to the edge of the width of the cell. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually merging cells in your worksheets. If we look at this table, we have Raymond's Fruit Stand. We've got the title over here in B22. It's on the left side of the table. We might want to have that title span the entire table. And we can mess around and try to put in columns C or D or do some spaces in there. But the easiest thing to do is to highlight the range of cells that you want your title to span. So I'm going to highlight B, C, D, and E, 22. And then I'm going to click the Merge button. And this is going to merge and center whatever was in that first cell on the left across all of our cells. And that'll actually act like one cell. As you see, if I'm going down my arrow key, it selects that whole cell and then comes back down. If I want to unmerge it, I can simply click that button again and it'll unmerge the cell. That's how you merge a cell to make titles. Scrolling down, we're going to look at the wrap text option. You see here in cell A42, we have a lot of text and it goes way beyond the boundaries of our cell. Now Excel will let the text run over in other cells as long as something isn't to the right. So if we go ahead and type something in to B42, you can't even see what's in A42 anymore. It just doesn't show because we've got something in B42. Well, the first thing before we look at how to solve that on the worksheet that I want to point out is going back to the formula bar. Even if we can't see all the text, our formula bar will show it all. Well, actually, it doesn't quite show it all. It only goes to the edge. Here's another feature of Excel that makes the formula bar really easy to use. I can click this drop-down arrow to the side, and it will expand the amount of room we have for our formula bar. Now we've got 3 lines of text as opposed to 1. And if that still isn't enough, you can take this line between the formula bar and the cells area, wait till you get the sizing icon, and make it as big as you want so you can see all the text in your cell wherever you are. Well, we'll leave it there so we can see all of our text. Now what we're going to do here is show you another feature. I'm going to click in that cell so Excel thinks I'm editing it, and then when I hit enter, watch what happens. Excel assumed, and it usually does when I hit enter on a cell that has a lot of text, that we wanted to see it all. So what it did is it enabled the wrap text and made that row really, really big. So now that text goes just back and forth in the width of column A, but it spans many lines. If we want to see how to toggle that on and off in the Format Cells dialog, we can go up to Format, Cells, and under Alignment, we have a Wrap Text button. We can toggle it on and off. We click OK, it's gone. We also have our Wrap Text button on the Home ribbon, and we can wrap the text there. One last option to talk about when you're dealing with multiple lines of text within a cell is the concept of a soft return. I'm going to go ahead and type a value here. Okay, I've got, this is my first item and this is my second item in this cell. But I actually want that second item to be on its own line. What I can do in this formula bar is position my cursor between the two and then do my soft return, which is going to be Command Option Return. And that will just add a soft return within my cell. We have a couple and say, then you see it lines our text up, each on their own individual row. Next, let's talk about indenting. Down on row 57 through 64, we've got a bunch of items and we want to indent those, but we don't want to necessarily go into the cells and type in spaces or tabs. So what we have here in our home toolbar is some handy tools to indent and bring the indent back if we went too far. We'll go ahead and click on cell A58 and we're going to use the indent tool to indent one position. Now we'll go to A59 and we'll indent that twice. And now we'll go to A60 and we'll highlight all the way down to A64. We'll indent that 4 times. If you notice, again, look at the formula bar. There's no indentation up there. This is strictly a format of this cell. So we haven't added spaces or tabs or anything to the actual value of that cell. We're just indenting it. And if I want to pull one back if I've indented too far, I can just click the decrease indent tool. Now let's go down and see how we set the vertical alignments. Similar to horizontals, we'll have tools just to set it to align the text on the top of the cell, in the middle, or in the bottom. So what we can do is we'll click on A70, and now the vertical alignments are right there above the horizontal alignments. If I want to align this text to the top of the cell, I'll click this button, and we'll go down and select A71, and we want to center this text in the middle of the cell vertically. And lastly, we want to move down in A72 and align that text to the bottom of the cell. And so those are the tools that help you set vertical alignment. Now typically this isn't an issue because usually the cells that people work with are only as tall as they need to be to hold the text. But if you ever get in a situation where you have a tall cell, it is helpful to know where those alignment buttons are for the vertical alignment. Let's look at one last example here near the bottom of our sheet. We've got Raymond's fruit stand again, and for our column headings, we've got the date in a long date format. That means we're saying Monday, March 12th of 2012, and it's really long in that cell. Well, we might be able to make better use of our space if we could turn this text on its side, because the values in there aren't very big. So let's go ahead and let's highlight B78 through F78. And I'm going to click my orientation tool up at the top. It has ABC and a drop down. And what I want to do is rotate this text up so it shows vertically. Now that text is rotated up and it looks like it's going to help, but our column widths are still pretty wide. So we can make that look even better by highlighting our column widths and just reducing it down to 8 points. So we've made our table much more concise. And it's still very easy to read because the dates are vertically aligned now. Again, notice the formula bar. They're still in there just as the value of the date. 3/12/2012, 3/13. One last option we'll look at in the vertical alignment is going to be actually on the Format Cells dialog box. So we have to go back there. Although we did a straight 90-degree angle rotation for our text, this orientation tool will let us put it whatever angle we want to put the text at. If we want to put it at 60-degree angle, we'll just set it there and click OK. And now you see our date is going to be a 60-degree angle. That'll make better sense if we have the same formatting across all of them. And I did the slider before, but I can also just type in the box that I want them all to be 60 degrees. And now we have kind of an angled column heading, and that can kind of look kind of nice too. In this lesson, we learned how to line up our text, from making a simple change to a vertical or horizontal alignment of a cell to having long text wrap in a cell. We also looked at a few ways to improve the worksheet by merging cells for titles and headers. And lastly, we looked at ways to adjust the angle of text in a cell. Just another tool we can use to make our worksheets easier.